War is not the only thing happening in West Asia. There is progress too, and it's coming from an unlikely place. War-torn Iraq. On Monday, Turkish President Erdogan visited the country. It was a pretty rare visit for him. Erdogan last traveled to Iraq in 2011. And since then, relations have suffered. So this trip was all about resetting ties. He got a guard of honor in Baghdad. He met the Prime Minister of Iraq and signed around 20 deals. One of them stands out. A four-way agreement for a transport corridor. It's called the Development Road Project. The plan is to link Iraq's Gulf Coast to Turkiye. How? With a series of roads and railways. And from Turkiye, this route can extend to Europe. So basically, a Europe to Asia corridor. How much will it cost? Around $17 billion. Along with Iraq and Turkey, two other West Asian players are involved. That's the UAE and Qatar. Their ministers were also in Baghdad on Monday. All of them signed an agreement to build this corridor. But how will it impact the region? For Iraq, it could be a game changer. Better infrastructure, easy access to oil fields and more trade. They may not have the funds to do it alone, but with Qatar and the UAE, they can. Same for Erdogan. He wants to leverage his country's location. You see, Turkey straddles two continents, Europe and Asia. So it's prime real estate for a cross-continental corridor. Erdogan says the project will bring stability and prosperity to the region.
We emphasize the vital importance of the Development Road Project in terms of this goal. With the Memorandum of Understanding we signed, we reinforced our determination regarding the strategic planning, which will contribute greatly to the stability and prosperity of our entire region, especially Iraq.
Just one problem though. Erdogan's corridor is not the only one. Another corridor was announced at the G20 summit last year, the India-Middle East-Europe corridor. And this one takes a different route. Europe to Israel, Israel to Saudi Arabia and the UAE, and from the UAE to India. A lot of European and West Asian countries are part of this corridor, but Turkey is not. So Erdogan had opposed it. Listen to his comments at the G20. This is what he said. There cannot be a corridor without Turkey. Turkey is an important production and trade base. The most convenient line for east to west traffic has to pass through Turkey. So Erdogan's position is quite clear. No Turkey, no corridor, which is why he's pushing his own. Now, both these routes do have some things in common. They both bypass Egypt's Suez Canal. They also use a network of roads and railways, plus one partner is common, and that is the UAE. It is investing in both the India-Europe corridor and the Iraqi one. But there are key differences too. The biggest one is Israel. The India-Europe corridor had a political motive to tie Israel and Arab states together, to link their economic fortunes. The hope was that this would accelerate normalization, maybe lead to Saudi Arabia recognizing Israel. But all that has been put on hold. Israel is waging a war in Gaza, so Arab states will not be in a hurry to normalize relations. Plus, how can you build a corridor in the middle of a conflict? And Erdogan knows this. He has a short window to push ahead with this project to complete it before the others. Meaning he could have the first mover's advantage. Of course, there are challenges too. For instance, Iraq may not be a war zone, but security remains a problem there. Multiple Iranian proxy groups operate out of Iraq. They often clash with US forces. You also have remnants of the Islamic State. United Nations data says up to 7,000 ISIS terrorists are left in Syria and Iraq. They could target the trade corridor. So Iraq or Israel, the problem remains the same, security. And it's quite unfortunate really, because the potential is massive. Asia and Europe are two economic giants. Trade between them is almost $1.5 trillion. So there is room for multiple corridors. You have Turkey and Iraq building one. You have India and Europe building one. You also have Iran and Russia planning one. The international north-south corridor, that's what they're planning. These routes could make trade more competitive and cheap, but only if conflicts and petty politics are put aside.